Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
A troubled evangelical minister agrees to let his last exorcism be filmed by a documentary crew. That's right, we watched the 2010 film The Last Exorcism.
Yes, we did. And I picked this one because I love this movie because when I first saw it, it surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised by this found footage
I was
exorcism
too,
film.
and
Yeah.
I think it's 2010, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of found footage films are coming out. It's kind of, I feel like this one got lost in the mix because you're like, oh, just, another found footage film, hooray, whatever. We've all seen it before. But it was pleasantly surprising the first time I watched it. And I was like, it fell through the cracks because you were just so used to all the other ones that it just drowned it out. And you're like, don't care anymore.
The thing that I remember most about this movie was the trailer when she starts doing that weird contortion.
Oh, yeah, when she goes backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They really played that up. I remember that. Yeah, they really played that up in the trailer. And then when you watch the movie, like it happened like once, twice,
and
maybe.
And I think this one came out around the same time as The Haunting of like Molly Hartley or something.
Yeah,
so they were like really close together.
Yeah, there was like the Molly Hartley one. There was like Emily Rose. And I feel like they were all like, that's what I'm saying. Like they all just kind of got drowned out with each other. You're like, well, I saw Molly Hartley. I don't need to see Emily Rose, or I need to see this one.
Yeah. But this one was actually really good. I mean, it had great actors. It had a great story. We had lore. We had gore. We had everything.
The thing that I really liked about this movie was how much they made you hate Cotton in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. They do their legwork. Yep.
Because not only was he
Devout?
No, the type of preacher he was, an
evangelical.
There you go. He was one of those. He was playing it up, and to me, it was like, this guy's just playing the crummy oil snake salesman type person.
It's funny. I just finished reading Stephen King's The Revival.
Yeah.
And there's a preacher character it's like that thing. He's got the the big the way Stephen King describes it is he's out in the desert, in his tent, and he's got the snakes and he's playing for the rubes, and that's basically the same.
Like the end of The Blob.
Yeah, he kept playing that up, and I'm like, okay, this guy's just a con man. He's stealing people out of his money, but yet he's claiming to be a man of faith, which is going completely against everything.
That's what I enjoyed about his character.
I did too. I loved it. The banana bread sermon.
Yes.
I was like, yes.
No, I wrote down. I'm like, he is a spiritual magician. He's literally doing card tricks, and then I wrote down he trunks them for $10. And what I mean by trunks them, there's an old like used car salesman thing, like where you make bets if you can get people, if you buy get them to buy a car and you get them to get into the trunk, like
gotcha.
That's a side bet like salesmen have. So if you've ever been trunked, someone made money off of your dumbass.
Yeah,
but that's the one thing I took about him as is like the first beginning of it. You see him doing all these things. You're like, he's just a snake consman.
Yeah,
he's a con man. And then the other thing
when they show you that like he was a child preacher and like all his backstory, I was like, oh, gross.
And then but they're all con people. It's no
they
different.
The thing that just kept adding on to his character even more so is he wore the oversized suit.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's the only thing that he wore, and it kept getting wrinkly. I'm like, is that the only thing he's packing for this thing?
Well, you think humidity.
He says,
man.
no, he literally says you have to dress the part, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
you're not going to get people. You're not going to get people to fork over that kind of cash for an quote unquote exorcism if you're dressed in jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look the part. I mean, there's a way to do a con.
Yeah,
well,
he knows how to do it, man.
He's got his old ass book of demons.
I wrote it down. It was called the.
Whatever it was, but I understand that fact. But the thing is, though, it's like, okay, you're going to play the part. Don't you think you'd have a couple more suits than just the one?
Just the one.
The Hortus Delacarum. Okay, but to that point you're making, Saul, his con doesn't take more than one day. His plan was to get in, get out, get the money. Documentary's over. He could move on, go sell real estate or whatever the fuck he wanted to do after that. Because I wrote down, I'm like, the Lord pays well, but he doesn't have benefits apparently.
That's right. Yeah. He doesn't have health insurance. I really liked the fact how we got a couple different false endings.
Oh, yeah.
Because they leave. They do the exorcism and they leave and they go back to the hotel and you would just think, oh, okay, good night. Everything went happy today. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we just get a shot of the boom chick, Iris, running across the hotel.
We're like, what the fuck is going on?
And then it's so like brilliantly executed how it's just like a sweeping shot across the window and you see her sitting there. You're like, what the fuck is she doing there? Because you know something's going on. But the fact that Nell showed up out of nowhere is fucking creepy.
And not knowing how to find them.
Yeah, because even Con's like, how would she know? Like, it's like 5 miles.
Yeah, but there's one hotel. I mean, they're the Super 8 down the road. That's the closest place, man.
They stopped down the road and didn't say, we're going to go a little further because we have so far to go. Because I've done that.
But when they were leaving and the dad was like, you sure you don't want to stay? He's like, no, we're just going to go up the road and find a place. So it sounded like it was kind of late at night. They're like, we're just going to go find the nearest hotel and just pass out,
she still walked 5 miles.
Yeah, whatever it was, she still walked.
That's demon power. That's not on Nell. But
I also loved how he threw the godfish on the back of the van before they headed over there.
Let's get back to his con man ways, because I love the fact that when the documentary chick, it's Iris, but I don't know, they call her Miss Iris. I don't know.
Miss Iris, yeah.
Yes. But when Iris is talking to the little boy and she's like, do you believe in it? And he just kind of has that smile and he's like, shh.
Yeah.
I was like, don't fuck over a gravy train, bitch. Like,
I know.
Stop asking. Like,
he had that smile. That's the thing, is like when you get introduced to it and when they have the little boy thing and then you slowly start seeing the turn on what he actually is. I'm like, okay, those little boy's in on it. They're all in on it. I'm like, okay, that's their ruse. That's the ruse that they're pulling on these people.
I mean, at this point, it's just like, hey, Daddy's got to go to work.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, it's no different than I never watched that show Shameless, but I've heard things.
Yeah.
So. I think the thing about him, I think it was funny that Reverend Cotton. It was like, my kid was sick, and then we took him to the hospital, and he got better, and then I realized, wow, God's not real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's really all it was. Like, at no point did you ever really believe in any of that then. It was really just, this is a way to make money.
Well, and believe,
we know how.
I think that's because he started so young. When kids start that young, they don't know the difference. Yeah, they don't know the difference between reality and not.
Oh, yeah. He didn't know that he was conning people. He's like, oh, this is what everyone does. Like, I think it was one of those things where he's like, even though we're doing the con, like, he didn't realize he was in on the con as a young kid, and then as you kind of go further into it, like you get into the tricks of the trade with when he gets that smoking crucifix at the end and all that
plus,
shit.
They've just started doing studies on like religious abuse, and you can put a bunch of people in a room like that and rile them up and actually induce like panic attacks or spiritual feelings, but it's all a body like freaking out.
Speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Saul.
The way so the way you were talking about is how you slowly started getting laid in on the con, how he didn't realize it from being at a young age that it was in on it. The way I kind of compare that is to the Santa Claus thing. Like, you're made to believe all of this, and then when you start getting older and you start realizing, everything starts falling into place. Like,
now you're part of the con.
You're part of the con because everything makes sense. To like, okay, now I know why they wanted me to go to bed early. Now I know why they wanted me to do this. Now I know why they asked me what I told Santa. And then you're like, okay, everything starts adding up and everything starts clicking. You're like, okay, that's what it is. I'm part of the secret now. Let's not let it out and keep going with it.
Yeah, until your son gets sick, and then you're like, shit.
There's I studied Native American religion in a few classes in college, and there was I don't know the tribe, but there's a Native American tribe where they had like a Santa Claus thing like that, but it was what they would call their gods, and like every so often their gods would come to visit them, and they were on these big masks, and you couldn't see the gods, so you had to just see them in these robes and these masks. And when you get to a certain age, you find out the secret that it's just the elder men in the tribe, and to get initiated, they beat the shit out of you. And it's like, you can't tell anyone and break the secret, or people will know that these aren't the gods. So they beat the shit out of you as part of the initiation. So now you're able to take a turn as being one of the gods for the little children. Oh. So yeah, it could have been worse, I guess.
People are awful.
Yeah.
The things that people go through to keep secrets.
Oh, and I love the line where when they're talking about exorcisms, and he's like, exorcisms are done by people all over the world, which is true, because we saw the ones in that Craven film.
Yeah.
The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Oh, yeah. Serpent and the Rainbow.
There's Africa does a lot of
those
them.
Indonesian ones we were watching. May the Devil Take You.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Everybody in the world, all religions have some form of exorcism or possession or something like that. So yeah, I love how he's like, Catholics get the press because they got the movie. We did that movie, The Exorcism.
That's true. That's what you think. That's what people think of automatically.
Yep.
They think of Catholic religion. They can think of Vatican. And like, oh, we have to, because it's always in movies like we have to send it to the Vatican or we have to send it to Rome to get approval and this and that. So.
And I love the little exposition drive that they do when they're on their way to the farm, and he's like, all this region has been flown under 6 different flags, and you got different religions, different superstitions, and I'm like, I mean, it is true. Those, I would just call them the swampy parts of the U.S.
Yeah,
they're warm and they're weird, and
the South.
It's definitely they were trying to add to the mythos of the era because I think the thing too is like. This movie tried to keep you guessing what direction it was headed. And I think with the false endings and everything, like there were so many, like you said, so many times that it's just like, well, this is a nice wrap up to the whole thing, but oh shit, something else is coming up. I think that too is like, all right, is it going to be voodoo? Is it going to be this?
Yeah.
Like, could it be the twist on it? Like, because imagine that, like you're just a regular, evangelical Christian, quote unquote healer or exorcist or whatever, and then you get in there and it's like, oh, this is voodoo. I don't know how to deal with this shit. Like, the egg and the water or the snakes and like I don't know what to fucking do, man. So it's like you're out of your league.
Well, to your credit, you're right. There was a lot of things where everything kind of made the twists and turns. Like, okay, where's this going to go? Because I figured out pretty early on that okay, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And now what's actually going on? And then you have all these other things that happen. It's like, okay, you think it's going to go this way, and then you think it's going to go that way because and you have the part where Iris even says, well, this is incest.
Yeah.
Like, she's pregnant, it's incest. You can obviously tell because the brother says don't leave him alone with her, and then you think it's going to go that way, but then you get another twist, and it just keeps... That's the thing that I appreciated about it, is that it just kept you guessing on how it was actually going to finally turn out.
I love all the side characters too. Like even when they go to that gas station and they're interviewing the townspeople and they're like, where's the UFO sign? She's like, oh, that's over there. And the cult guys are down that way.
No,
and I'm just like, these are small town southern people.
Yeah. No, but I was thinking like, what if it was just like, this is just the fucked up town, right?
Yeah.
Like if this is just the fucked up town, like there was a cult over there and for some reason there's weird energy that attracts aliens. So like you have the fucking, it's a demon cult that does alien shit too. Like it could be a crazy ass movie.
Putting out weird energy, it's us, right? Yeah. Like if we're like, hey, aliens, it's us. Yeah. We're the ones that are gonna get abducted.
Okay, there's a fucked up vortex that attracts demons and aliens and all kinds of shit, and that's just what it is. They're like, well, there was a hazardous wayside, and then they were fracking, and then who knows?
That's also where the old mine used to be that got started on fire, so it's still burning underground.
Yeah, all these things.
The gate to hell thing.
Yeah, because you got that lady who says that.
Yeah, that lady. Yeah, she's literally like, it's the gates to hell right over there.
Yeah,
she's like Vince, those are literal gates of hell, and it's like
you turned on 5th Street, and there it is. Right there.
I love Caleb, the brother.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Landry Jones,
Caleb
maybe?
Jones.
Landry Jones,
yeah. Yeah, Lewis and Caleb and Iris, they all use their first names.
Yeah. But he's a really great actor. He's been in other things, too.
I remember from X-Men and Get Out.
Yes. But that guy, he's so creepy, and he plays this brother so expert. I love when he's like, I need you to turn around. You want to do a U-turn? And then you're just going to keep going back to where you came from. I was like, smooth.
I wanted...
I knew he was going to do that, too. Yeah. Like, as soon as you saw him and he did that.
But still, like, you see him, and he's all squirrely, and he's little, and he's like this little, boy from the sticks who's got nothing to do. But I was just into it.
That surprised me because, again, they make you think it's going a certain way.
Yeah.
With him, you can see, okay, he's the older brother. He's being protective of his sister because that's his sister because... He threatens them and says, you guys do anything to her. He's like...
Yeah. And he brings it up he's like, I've heard people die in exorcism. Yes. So he's like, it comes off as a way he's trying to protect her from the exorcism because he knows it's not real or he thinks it's going to be dangerous.
They definitely use that character's like small townness, like as an advantage for that to hide his deception.
Like it's almost like he's naive, like he's just this naive little child, but he's not.
Yeah. When Caleb threw all the mud pieces or whatever at the van, I wanted Cotton to get out and be like, I'm gonna beat the Jesus out of you, little fucker.
Every time I watch this movie, and things start happening, I'm all like, F and A, Cotton, F and A.
Well, the other thing I was expecting Caleb to do is because, when he realized, okay, you guys are conning us, I'm on to you. I know you're not going to hurt my sister because when they do the whole thing with the
he's like, water, I saw you. I saw you put something in.
He's like, I saw what you did. And he's like, I know what you did. He's like, you can't tell me otherwise, because he told everybody to close their eyes, and he was the only one that left his eyes open. And you could see on the camera, he reaches into his pocket and he does something. It's like, okay.
You hear it on the...
You hear it. And then the other thing I was expecting him to do, too, is when they were actually going to perform the exorcism, when he was doing the wires and all that other stuff, that I thought Caleb was going to be like, no, you guys are like, okay. And he was like, expose them everything. He was like, no, this is the wire, this is the speaker, this is all that stuff. I was expecting him to do that, but you didn't see any of that. So he started kind of buying into what he was selling.
Well, see, and I always took it as like, oh, he's just on to the ruse now. So he's like, okay, if this is what they need to get these people to leave,
I think once
this is what they need.
Yeah, I think once he knew after the whole the bath or the foot water scene, I think after that he was like, all right, just do what you're gonna do, get your money and get out of here, and I can go on with our plans.
Even when he comes walking back over, doesn't he say like, you're fake or you're a fraud? That's
you're
what
a fraud. Yeah,
you're a fraud. We don't have any problems now.
Yeah.
Like, and he says that to him. They have just a one-on-one conversation. His dad's not there, his sister's not there. So I really think that he's like, all right, if this is just gonna be the thing that needs to happen so that they go back to where they come from, then I'm fine with it.
Go. Yeah, it's the ends of the mean. He's like, do what you're gonna do, because I know you're full of shit now, and but
when Nell appears at the hotel not speaking, and she's just trying to make out with Iris and then pukes everywhere, I'm like, what is this girl's problem?
No, I wrote down what I wrote down. I wrote down, I'm like, maybe she's just a really weird sleepwalker, and her dad's a terrible cook, and that's why she puked. And are all demons horny? Maybe
apparently.
So.
Maybe that's why they escape hell. They're like, I got to get some D or some B and just get out
this
into
was
the world.
I find his name so funny, like Abalam. Abalam ding dong.
Yes, it sounds like an old Southern
so
song.
I'm like Abalam the Defiler.
Oh, Black Betty.
Yes. So this one's the Defiler, right? So here's my question about because he got the demon right, but was the demon already there and he just identified it right, or was it something weird? Because
I had questions about that too.
Because the only reason he identified it was the water thing in the foot bath, but he's the one that made it bubble and all that shit. So it was like, did he just invite that demon in and fuck the whole thing up? But then at the same time, at the end, when you have the other Reverend Hartley or Malley, or what was his name?
Pastor Manley.
Pastor Manley, that's right. So when Pastor Manley and Becky, I think her name was.
Becky. Am I on a movie?
That
is, you can see that woman in any southern town.
Yes.
Becky exists.
I really think she lives in that town. She lives in that
sure
small Louisiana town.
She was so sweet though, even though she was later.
Hail Satan! See, that's the comedy movie we've talked about. We want to make with just like small southern people that are cold, like Hail Satan, baby! My God, did you get that sweet tea? You bring it over to the barbecue this weekend. Hail Satan!
I bought some lemon bars for y'all.
All right, let's praise the Lord of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a realistic Satan church in the southern parts
I think this would be like if you made this movie, but it was a comedy with just all these people from the cult point of view.
Very polite.
We need to find Becky. Yes. Becky needs to be in this.
Becky needs to lead her own coven or something.
She really does. She's the sweetest Satan worshiper I've ever seen.
But even when they get those people involved in the whole thing, I'm like, I didn't see it coming the first time with Pastor Manley.
I didn't see it either.
Like that one took me by surprise.
It up to be the dad.
The thing.
They kept pointing at the dad. They kept pointing. I even thought at the brother at one point. Like the brother as like he molested his sister, not as he's in the cult. Okay, once you found out there was a cult, I'm like, the brother's got to be in on it. That makes sense.
I didn't see any of it coming, because the other thing is like you see that the dad takes the precautions because he pulls her from. What is it? The school that they were at?
And Sunday school,
Sunday school. And then that makes me think, okay, that's how Pastor Manley got to the brother.
Yeah. But see, and although it also makes me think in this movie, like, what was accurate and what was not. Yeah. Because you get all these different opinions, like, he pulled her out of the school because he says, our Christian music, wasn't Christian enough or whatever. Yeah. And that's just, the reason that he's giving. So obviously making the dad look more crazy. Yeah. And then you have the brother that's like, he's an alcoholic and, this and that. And, he's just a drunk and this and that.
Leaving the notes.
So you have like all these people that are just, that, come to find out are in on it, at the end, that are giving you all these reasons. And that was like, so as much as Cotton is a con man, he also got conned by these people.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole whole story, I mean, the death of the mom hitting the whole family hard. I mean, they were definitely rife for the kind of setup that happens in exorcisms when they go bad, you know, crazy stuff, people's mental health going down, like that kind of stuff. So Cotton really does want to help. No, he really does. His whole situation is, we should get her psychiatric help. We should take her to the hospital. Like, even when she shows up at the hotel, they take her to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, like, he's always focused on Nell.
Even when he agrees to do the second exorcism, I really think it's just like because I think he has a line that's kind of alluding to the fact that he's like he's gonna kill her. Like,
well, he's standing there with the gun.
Well, yeah, because it's like I have to do it. Like, what other choice do I have?
And Nell is like, "Kill me, Daddy, kill me." Like she
because
says
they even
it.
said that when they did the research possession or the demon possession, that Alabama, the only salvation is death.
Yeah, the only salvation is death. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And an exorcism for $59.95.
But after they get back from the hospital, Nell fucking knifes her brother.
Oh yeah,
just right in the face. Yeah, I was like, shit.
Do we know that though?
We don't know that for sure, but she says that she did it. So
well, she had the knife in her hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna play Abalam's advocate here for a second. Caleb is in on it, and we know that. At this point, we don't know that in the movie.
Yeah,
but she's going crazy. Nell is actually, going crazy because of having the demon and things are back and forth, and she was waking up with blood and doesn't remember shit. Because, and let me just say to the actress that played Nell, like, amazing job.
Oh yeah,
because she plays the homeschool kind of religious
sweet
person girl.
Yeah.
She plays that to a T. Like that is the sweet little naive girl you'd expect in a small southern town that's homeschooled, right?
Yeah.
And then she plays the other parts great as well. Like she flips it and it's amazing. But she's going crazy as Nell with this demon thing. And Caleb could have just cut himself, blamed it on her, and then all he had to say was, "Yeah, she doesn't remember, Dad," or he doesn't say shit because he cut himself or whatever. Yeah. But he could have totally just blamed that on her and just made it seem like she's crazy in order for them to be able to leave and get the dad out of the house. I think obviously it was his ultimate goal with the note and everything.
Maybe. But then when he does leave to take Caleb to the hospital, that's when we get that note, like, don't leave her alone with him.
Yes.
And Dad has chained Nell to the bed.
Oh.
And then we get a really good picture of, a really good shot of I Roll Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Is he supposed to be rolling his eyes?
I don't know.
That picture, I'm always, it's always like, ugh, Jesus.
Here's another picture.
Crucified again.
No, it reminds me of the Robert Downey Jr. meme where he's rolling his eyes from Avengers.
Yes.
It's the same exact look. Like,
Jesus face. I roll. Yep.
And then again, the other thing that I say is this is another movie again where they live in a fucking huge ass fucking house
in the middle of nothing.
In the middle of nothing. Mm-hmm. Seriously.
When they hear that baby cry and they're like, they go up and they just see Nell standing in the hallway. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm like,
I heard a baby cry.
Out.
If there ain't a baby here, we leaving. Like.
Or the other thing too.
The first time I was like, did Nell give birth? What the fuck?
I know.
Like, how far along is she?
The thing with me was with Daniel when I started with him when he was like, he's drawing pictures of me without my head.
Oh, I loved it. I loved how Iris had her little boomstick.
Yeah.
So is that me with my boom?
Yeah.
It's like, you're butchered. My head is like, I've been decapitated. We should leave.
I drew some of you dying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to write an article or get a collection of like the characters that are like, nope, I just want to go home. I just want to go because we were listening
to the smartest characters
like
in horror.
The guy in Congo. Remember, the assistant guy was like, I just want to go home.
I go home.
And then Daniel's like, I need to leave. Like, yes, we know.
The picture with my head gone.
Yes. Yeah, there is no job that is worth me getting decapitated.
Especially because they see that cat photo right next to her, right? And then she murders the white cat in a very similar way.
Yes.
Like, no, peace.
Do it, yeah.
Peace, I'm out. And I love that, how they're like, we're all tired. Let's just take a nap. Let's just go to sleep for an hour. And then the camera just pops back.
No.
Oh, I know. I was
like, no, because I was like, he's like, let's just take a break. And I thought, okay, we're just going to turn the camera off. We're all going to just collect our thoughts. And then when it turns on and you see like Nell's just roaming around, I'm like, what the fuck? Why?
Oh, I know.
Why would you take a nap? Like, I just
shifts, guys. Shifts.
No, okay. Well, I'm hoping it was shifts because Iris comes up later. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I mean, glad that someone was smart enough to not fucking pass out or whatever. But obviously the cameraman fell asleep too if she just grabbed the camera or whatever. But Yeah, I'm like, you just heard a fucking baby cry. The whole time I was like, they found her chained up, and they were like, oh my God, chained her up, and then they get her out. After the baby crying scene, I was like, chain that bitch back up and get the fuck out of there. Chain her back up. There's a reason she was chained up. Get the hell out of this house.
Yep. Oh. And then the lights keep coming on and off. I love it because it does make you, like, whenever the lights go off in a found footage film, it always, discombobulates the viewer more.
You're like, oh, shit.
Because you can't see, right outside the immediate light shine. But I love when Nell tries to knife the Reverend. Like, she really goes after. She cuts just his hand, but she tries. Yeah. She tries.
Yeah, she's a full Abalam.
Yep, Abalam.
And then they chain her up and put her in the barn. Because that's what Cotton comes back at some point and says, you guys are either doing another exorcism.
You mean Lewis? Yeah, Lewis. Lewis is the dad.
Oh, no, yeah, my bad. Lewis, my bad. Yeah, Lewis. Lewis comes back and he gives them an ultimatum. Either A, you do another exorcism, or B, I'm shooting you guys.
I kill her. I kill her and you. You have 5 minutes to get off my property or you're trespassers.
Yes.
Meaning I can murder you freely.
Shout out to the nurse in the hospital. Those wasn't fucking around.
No, she wasn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She ain't giving no fuck.
Turn that fucking camera off.
Caleb didn't either. Caleb's like, I don't care if the cameras are recording.
Yeah,
I will murder your ass if you hurt my sister.
See, that too, I think, because Dan has a point. Because Dan was just fed up at that point.
Yeah.
As the camera guy's like, look, that guy said, I don't care. The fucking camera guy. And he looked in the camera. I don't care if he's there. Fucking murder all of you. Mm-hmm. And then now there's drawings of me being decapitated.
Hey,
I am out.
There are certain situations or certain regions where you're just like, this ain't my jam.
Yeah.
I am in danger. I need to get out of here.
My first clue was when they get to the thing and Caleb starts chucking rocks at him. Like, there's no reason to be like, okay, my ass is gone.
For me, it was the baby cry. I'm like, nope, peace. There ain't no baby here. I can't hear it. I can't see no baby. She had a doll. We heard some baby cries. I'm out.
No. The baby crying, and then they put her back in the bed, and then later when they go and she's having the conversation, and they're like, I swear there's two people in there.
Like, there's two people.
Nope, I'm out.
Like,
and Daniel's like, there is two people in there. And then they open the door. He's like, I swear there's two people. I'm like, no, Daniel, go home.
Yes.
Daniel
needs to
trust
go
your
home.
instincts.
Yes.
Yep. But when they take her back into the barn to do the second exorcism after Cotton's like, fine, don't kill her. I'll do another one. I put Nell is into some weird yoga.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that was funny about that, though, is Demon Abalam, whatever the hell his name is, starts saying, he's like, if you can stay quiet for 10 seconds, I will leave her.
Oh, and he starts breaking the fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
that's clever.
Yeah, that is clever. That's the way to go, man.
But could you trust him, though?
Oh, no.
No.
There was no point in waiting till 10.
No, you don't. You don't trust him, and that whole thing was designed to not have him be quiet.
I loved Reverend Cotton's whole kit of stuff that he had there.
His exorcism kit.
Yeah,
an exorcising we will go.
Was it like rings or something that he had that he was like, you put a 9-volt battery and then you run the, I'm like, so basically like mini shock treatment is basically what the fuck you're doing.
Yes.
Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, your con is one thing up to a certain point, but if you're fucking shock treatment.
Oh no, I'm fully convinced that's a thing that like religious evangelicals have done before.
Oh, I have no doubts that that's not a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to have come from somewhere. I mean, it's not just,
cross.
Yeah, all those little tricks of the trade to enhance your Lord experience. Like, yeah, for sure.
You think there's like a con man religious catalog you can buy this shit?
Like a Sky Mall for like religious.
Where you buy the cross like that. Or you're like, because I mean, come on, he didn't make these things himself. I mean,
no, he had to buy them.
Maybe you can get him in bulk from Oriental Trading Company or something.
Like, the exorcism kit.
It's how they get all their stuff across when they do all those stupid conventions that none of us have gone to.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there conventioning without us.
What it is.
It's like, here's the latest and greatest.
Yeah, it's like communion wafers and
communion wafers.
Exorcism Alley.
This grape juice will make them think they're getting drunk, but it's actually just grape juice.
It's like it'll show traces of this, but you can't trace that. Look, you have them drink this.
Okay, we're in the market for a new one of those smoking pot things where they just swing it around and mass or like.
And like, I understand that at the end, after they do the second exorcism, right? And Cotton's like, "What's a blowing job?" Because he thinks that he's got Nell.
Yeah.
But even after, and I know that his mental health probably isn't the greatest because he's been up all night. He just had a gun in his face and other things. But when she's telling him the story, when she's telling Lewis the story about how she supposedly got pregnant with Logan and everything, she's speaking in the third person.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm like, why is no one questioning that?
Yeah, I'm like, I get it. Like, you could say, like, she's just, trying to disassociate from her actions or whatever. But still, that's not the sign of a healthy person.
No,
we
not
need
at
to
all.
focus on that. And we're not just leaving the dad with Nell. Because that's what they do. I mean, they have the pastor or whatever come over. I was even more suspicious of Pastor Manley and Becky when they came back the second time. And Lewis was just like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't know why everything that just happened, or you think because your daughter was just a normal girl, right? Because that was what he was going off of then, was that she just had sex with somebody.
Yeah.
Why you would be just like, oh, it's okay that they come over. But like, wouldn't you still be angry with them and think that they were still a bad influence?
See, yeah, because that's the other thing too. Especially once you find out that, why is Pastor Manley having 16-year-olds at a party?
Well, they don't know
house?
that yet.
No, but I'm saying the dad knew that.
Yeah.
Did
So-
he though?
I would assume.
No.
I don't think so, because the dad, when they were talking to Cotton earlier, he was like, I pulled her out 2 years ago. And I'm assuming that's the last time that Lewis thinks that
that's
his
true.
kids had any contact
That's true,
with
because he
them.
did say 2 years ago, but then if she's still going to stuff.
Yeah,
then
so I don't think the dad had any idea.
That's true.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. To your point then too, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just like, I took her out and now look what happened. She got knocked up. So maybe it was my fault for trying to keep her in the house.
Maybe.
And,
for sheltering her
and
too
it,
much.
and it made her want to go do that stuff. And we strayed away from God. Because again, these guys he's a religious guy that's, he believed the fucking, exorcism sham.
Yeah.
It had her, had she not actually been possessed, he would have believed that it was fine and gone on, and she would have still been pregnant. If it was just, a high school pregnancy thing, he would have just been like, "Oh, it's the demon's fault that you did this."
It's not a demon's fault. You just got horny.
But again, you get the whole thing again.
It's something
where
in the air. It was Nell Slicks.
they do the whole thing where you think it's going to be over because they're like, "Okay, we're done. We did the second exorcism. Let's."
Oh,
leave."
yeah, and then they stop off at that cafe and tell the guy he's going to be a dad. I'm
Yeah,
like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that? Cotton, F&A, Cotton. Get out of there.
I know,
That ain't
like,
your
yeah.
place.
And it was just so much when they're driving, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm turning around," and Daniel's like, "No!"
I know, Dad's like,
Just
come on,
drop
we're
me
almost
off.
off. Just let me stay at the cafe. I'm just
No,
going to stay at the
we're
cafe.
this close to being.
That's the one thing that was ridiculous because I don't even know who it was that brought it up because like, hey, what was that name of that cafe? And they stopped there and they talked.
I
to
think
Logan.
Cotton does. He's like,
Yeah.
"What was the name of that cafe?" And then it just like cuts to them inside talking to Logan.
And you
he's
see
like-
Logan, and he's like, I don't even like girls. I'm like, oh, you guys didn't get that from the bracelet or the
yeah.
earrings
Like,
or the...
right away, when you first see Logan, you're like, okay, clearly this is not. And I think that's obviously what they were going for in the film.
Yeah, and
know.
I really like how he's like, I met her one time at one party at Pastor, and then I was like, ew, like no, I don't know. Maybe it's
as
just
soon
because
as you heard Pastor Manley's,
Yes.
well, no, it's just maybe it's because of the whole Catholicism thing. Anytime like any pastor or religious person is having a party for children, I'm
It's
just
like
like,
that
nope,
one-
nope,
Yeah.
nope.
It's like that
No,
one.
no.
What father we had here, Father Dale.
oh yes, the one, yeah,
The
they
one
always
where he
talk
talks
about
about-
him
yeah.
on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a, yeah,
He had
Yeah.
hot tub parties.
he had parties.
See, yep, no.
Father
No.
Dale. Yeah, that's what I'm
If
saying.
any older person wants to hang out with a bunch of children, it's suspect. Y'all should be watching, because adults don't even like going to kids' birthday parties. Okay,
Yes.
it's a tiny piece of hell. Is what that
that
is.
should just be the thing. Like, and if you're not like an aunt or an uncle or a family member,
Yeah.
but still watch them closely.
Yes.
Yes.
If you're not like a family member like that, and someone's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come hang out with your kid," like, the fuck's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
what is wrong with you? Why do you want to hang out?
Have you met kids?
You know,
They're
kids are-
terrible. They're loud.
I love my kids.
mean.
You
but they're
probably
so
hear them in the
boring.
background of our fucking podcast because they won't shut up.
Right? I don't want to watch Paw Patrol again. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, so if someone's like, "Yeah, bring your kids over," I'm like, "What? No.
Why? No, you don't want that. It's gonna be
terrible.
loud.
It's like I have to deal with him. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I have to deal with.
Have you ever had a weird scenario like that where an adult invited you to something, or anyone like you knew? I mean, not.
No, I was always a suspect child, so
Yeah.
if anybody had ever tried it, I'd been like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why do you want to hang out
My,
with me? Don't be weird.
I think my sister was in high school, and she had like there was a teacher that taught summer school, and he was like inviting a bunch of students to go to learn how to water ski or something.
Oh, we did have a teacher
Yeah.
like that in my high school, and funny story, I did no homework in that class, but somehow managed a C+. And yeah, he would invite people over.
Oh yeah.
And there was always a rumor that he had a crush on me, but I just was like, I'm not gonna do any homework, and I barely went to that class.
What year was this?
I was a junior.
Oh, then it was your boobs that got.
Oh yeah, for
class.
sure.
It was
Yeah. I mean, hey, I got through high school, right? Didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to touch nobody.
Confirmed. We've got a Matt Gaetz situation at this high school.
Yes. Don't let your kids go to a teacher's house. That's weird. Any adult wants to hang out with your kid. It's fucking weird.
There was a when I was little, my parents still made me go to like Bible study or Wednesday night, youth shit. I don't know if I can call it anymore, but
we don't want to watch our kids on Wednesday night.
We don't want to watch our kids on Wednesday night, and the church has a thing that they'll watch them for a few hours. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah. There was one that this lady wanted us to go pray at somebody's house, and I'm like, that sounds fucking weird. I'm like, I don't know these people.
I know.
I don't want to pray at my house.
I remember getting invited to that stupid we're gonna pray at the flagpole, and I'm like, why? Why are we doing that? It's fucking weird. I don't want to do that.
I don't remember if that was a thing when I was in high school.
I remember
I don't remember
once.
hearing about it, or
I remember once, and all the super, and I grew up in Iowa, so there were a lot of super Christians around, and they're like, oh, you're gonna come pray at the flag? I was like, why would I do that? That sounds stupid.
Is that like an antenna for something?
I
thought church was the antenna. What the fuck, man?
It's very weird growing up as an atheist as a child, especially in a Midwestern town, because you're always looked at as the weirdo, but you're like, why do you believe this stuff? I don't understand.
I think this would be a hilarious sitcom. Imagine Dairy Girls, but atheist in the Bible Belt.
Yes,
it's a comedy.
It is a comedy.
This is a great sitcom. Who do we need to call about these things? We have at least 2 or 3 ideas right now.
Because it's a weird time. Because I mean, you drive through Iowa, Kansas, any of those, you'll see the no abortion signs. You'll see the God is the way.
The first time I drove a buddy to St. Louis, and we were driving through Oklahoma, I think it was, where that humongous cross.
Yep. There's also a humongous pioneer lady somewhere in Oklahoma too.
No, the humongous cross in Oklahoma. I was like, because it was the sun was coming up, and I was half asleep, and we've been driving all night.
You're like, look, God has arrived.
And I was like, did God just land in a giant spaceship? What the fuck is that? And I'm like, get away from it. It scared me. I was like, get away from it. Something's going to happen. Jesus just came back. I don't want to be anywhere near this shit.
When I first saw that thing, it had just been right when the cell phone towers thing had started being built.
Cell phone tower.
And I was like, is that just, am I going to get 4G from this thing? What the heck is that? People should be suspect of that thing. It's giving off God fucking waves or something.
Radioactive Jesus.
Radioactive Jesus. But they go back to Nell's house after discovering Logan's gay, and that Pastor Manley is having some parties for some kids.
Even Iris, or how the fuck should
I don't know.
Iris, whatever.
Even Iris was like, he's clearly gay. This doesn't make sense.
Logan is clear. I know. I'm like, y'all just it's so funny to me in movies where people are like, I can't believe they lied. Why? Why can you not believe? You don't know these people.
At this point now, they go back to the farm and they realize, okay, all the lights are off again.
Yeah, and they go in and they get those blood symbols everywhere.
Yes. They can't find anybody, and like, oh shit, something's going down. And then you finally see what the shit that was going down. They're in that field, and they're
in that field, and they're walking out there. Cotton Marcus is leading them out there the whole time. Daniel, I don't want to go, guys.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then I'm like, but you're still following them. And as it got closer, I'm like, turn off your fucking light.
I know. I'm like, why is the light still on? They're gonna see you already.
Yeah, I mean,
if you can hear them, they can see light through the trees.
Yeah, and it's a dark fucking forest in the middle of nothing, so any light you're gonna see immediately.
Especially coming off from the fire where they had, you're gonna be able to see your light. Your eyes are gonna be able to pick up. Yeah,
because they were walking right, perpendicular to them, right to their side. It's you're not out of line sight at all.
And then you finally get the reveals of what you thought you knew in this movie wasn't completely different, because they have Dad tied up to a tree.
Is it a tree or cross? I don't remember.
They have him
tied up. He's tied up. It's hard to see.
He's tied up. He's blindfolded. You see Pastor Manley in a black and red robe, and you see they have her on a table.
Giving birth.
Giving birth.
Becky just takes me out of it though. Like I think for some
Becky,
reason
just
she's,
little midwife Becky
yes,
down
little
there.
midwife, like southern, like sweet old lady Becky. I'm just like, oh come on, dear,
in her
just
black
push
robe,
now.
like
Push now, push. Here we go, dear.
Almost
Come on,
there.
hail Satan. Here we go. Abraham is from Ponos.
And then that's the other thing where you get the inclination. Okay, the drawings that she drew earlier are going to start happening because they show Cotton holding his cross up and
that wasn't even that was his smoke one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
What is that gonna do, man? Like
I like how he's just like, well, okay, everything's real. Might as well go out on my feet because at this point, if I don't do something, I ain't getting into heaven.
Yeah, well, I think he had a moment of like, fuck. Like this is my like penance for all of my bullshit. And warping the lines of evil because he does have a really good line in the beginning of it when they're talking and he's talking about how it's all bullshit. He's like, well, if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil. If you believe in the devil, you have to believe in demons.
Yeah.
And that equals cash for me. It's basically what I got from that. Because like there's already a instilled belief that all these things are in the Bible, and if you believe that, then you can't deny that I'm me as a religious person telling you that your child is possessed by this demon, and it's going to cost $250 for me to get him out.
Yeah,
I think it was more than that because
I'm sure it was. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. But I'm just saying,
and I think too, like he had already kind of not so much had a break in his psyche, but he was like, okay, I'm gonna go pray, because I think before he does the second exorcism, you see that shot of him outside in the rain and he's praying, and I think more he's just like, oh, what the fuck to do?
Like I'm in over my head.
I think that's the one realization is like I've been bullshitting through all of this for so long that now that I actually have to do it, it's like
yeah, and I think at that point he had seen so much of Nell's actual. She killed the cat at that point. Yeah. She had been making those baby crying noises.
Yeah. And the other voice.
Yeah, the other voice. She was just in her room on top of the thing at some point.
But I think to your point, Paul, how he said that earlier. If you believe in God, you have to believe in this, and you have to believe in that. And I think that's when everything slowly started hitting him. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, I think he does have that moment where he has like that real crisis of almost. It's a crisis of faith, but it's a crisis of like, shit, should I have faith? Because all this stuff starts to look real.
Yeah.
And then when he goes into that second exorcism, I think that's why it was such a relief for him when she's like, the blowing's job or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, yes, she's just crazy. Fuck, I can finally prove it.
Yeah.
Thank God. All right, God. All this religion shit still bullshit. Yeah. Thank you.
But when he sees...
But then when it's like, oh shit, there's a demon baby. Because he was like, that's not human.
Yeah.
Because that's his line. Like, he's just like, that is not human.
Well, yeah, you see the little thing, and you're like, well, it is. And then they put it in the fire, and the fire goes up, and I was like, shit. And I mean, hey, if you're going to go out, and you're like, hey, you know what? And he just walks into the fire. He's just like, fuck it, man. Like, I'm going to do this. Gonna try, I guess. I don't know.
So apparently there is a sequel to this movie.
Is there?
Yes, I did see that there is a sequel, and I'm like, I wonder what happened. I doubt that he's in it. I haven't looked at anything in it. I doubt, and I wonder where they take the story, or if it's just completely some other, story that's just
I saw a little bit of it, and it just says it's her older and like college years or whatever it may be.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check that out.
I wonder if Caleb's still around, because we see Caleb giving Daniel his due.
Caleb takes Daniel out.
Yeah, Caleb makes that drawing come true. And what is she using for the blood? Because her blood in those pictures was spot on. Like, it was all drippy.
I just took that. I'm like, that's just something she killed. Because the other thing too, when they first get there and the dad is like, my bull, a couple of goats and chickens. I'm like, is the devil just having a fucking barbecue at night? Like, you're all asleep, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke some beef out here. I'm gonna have some goat cheese
in that big field that nobody has anything to do with.
Make some moonshine.
But that was
Iris, whatever gets cut up.
She does.
Because
she gets chopped up a few times by the townspeople. I don't even know what you would call them. I guess just townspeople.
The cultists.
The cults.
Yeah.
It's the cult. Yeah.
That were abducted by aliens.
I think it would have been funny to see.
From the gates of hell.
It would have been funny to see one of the people there from the gas station. That was like, I told you the cults meet over.
Told you, cult right here. I told you I wasn't lying.
Like, I wasn't lying. You
Gates of Hell. I told you right here. See where the fire is? Yeah. Gates of Hell right here.
Yeah, and then the aliens land in the background. Oh, there they are. God, you're supposed to get Tuesday. It's Wednesday.
Well, no, maybe the fire was to let the aliens know we were ready for them.
Yes.
So we were just bringing them in.
It was their flare.
Yeah, it's the landing zone. Here we go. Just stand there next to the fire. Don't land on top of Abilene.
If you live in the southern United States, Is it as fun as we assume it is? I have questions.
Define fun, because everything that we say is fun is like that's probably the thing that they're the most like. God damn it, we're not like that.
Well, and they also have tornadoes and hurricanes and alligators in some parts. Y'all got it rough. Move.
Sand fleas. Yeah. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
A thing. Sand crab.
I do love the shot that they had of the alligator in the little swamp. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they're
get a quick one.
My friend used to live in Florida, and she's like, they are everywhere. They're just in ditches and anything. So if you go to Florida, don't get eaten by an alligator. Watch out. But that was The Last Exorcism from 2010. Yes. I enjoy that film. I like the backstory, the lore. I love everything about it. I really like when they give you details without going too much into exposition or backstory. I like exposition when it takes you along for the ride.
Oh yeah, because everything gets slowly revealed rather than all at once.
Yeah, and plus you don't have to. It's not like you're studying for the second half of the film too. Yeah. And that's what I feel some films get wrong about. Yeah. Their story.
I think there's too many times where film. It's like you stick to the the basic setup of rising action, falling action, climax. And it's like you just build up to it with no like twists or turns or like this movie really had you guessing. And I think that's the one thing that I think most people don't like about found footage is besides the fact that, it's the found footage bullshit. And I think you brought it up too last week or so when you're like, when they stop doing the found footage POV thing and then it's like it becomes a real movie and then the camera's like its own entity now. And I'm like, I hate when they do that too. And I think this one, above all, it gives you that whole sense of where are they going with this? Because it's like, having been a fan of horror movies, we're often not surprised by endings anymore. Yeah. We know where things are going. We know so when you're actually surprised by something, or it's like, oh, okay, you keep me guessing. They weren't going where I thought they were.
It's a nice fresh.
It's a good time when you're actually like pleasantly surprised, and things are twisted and that you didn't expect.
Yeah, I think the thing that really drew me in the first time I watched this is that first false ending. Yes. When they're at the hotel and they're like, all right, good night, we got good footage today. And then like, you obviously because it's like half an hour into the movie.
Because you're like, where do they go from here?
Yeah, you're like, what else did they do? Are they going to do another exorcism?
Like, what happens?
But like when they just draw you right back into her story with just the creepiness of Nell and her character. And you're just like, okay, I'm into this. And again, it's not full of stupid expectations for the characters because when Nell shows up, they're just like, fuck it, let's go to the hospital. Yeah. We got to get to the hospital. She needs help. And Cotton the whole time is like, Nell needs help. Nell, he's not trying to be... what is the word?
He's not trying to be a con man at that point.
Yeah, he really does care. For
and I think they did a great job of including his son and the whole medical issues in the background. And then when the wife talks about the exorcism, the autistic boy that they killed, or whatever, like that whole thing, I think it does a really good job setting it up to be like, look, and the fact that when he finally goes there and he's like, shit, I didn't know it was a girl. I don't like doing kids. Like. I think that kind of adds to it. It's because at the ultimate point of his character is he is a father with a child with medical issues, and he wants he knows what it's like to have someone with either mental health problems or medical problems. That having a kid that's at a disadvantage, and he's completely at an opinion that it's not real, it's bullshit, and I'm going to show you how it's bullshit. And that way, hopefully,
somebody else can be saved.
Everyone can be saved after this.
Well, and even when he's talking about just doing the exorcisms and saying, I don't believe in this, but if it helps other people, if they believe in it, then I can see the good in it. And I'm like, okay, and I don't believe in religion, but I understand religion because that's kind of the same thing. Like if it helps you get through the day, it helps you get through the day. But like I always liked his approach to it because he is kind of battling internally, but at the same time he just wants to do good. Like he's not doing this to be gross. He's doing this.
I mean, he does make money off of it. And he does even have that line. He's like, I don't believe in it and I think it's bullshit, but if that's what they need to get over their issue for it to, in their mind that the demon is gone, if that's what makes them better.
And then I can buy my son a new hearing aid, then win-win.
Yeah, it's like, why not? Like, if it gives them peace of mind and gives me a living for my child.
Yeah, and so maybe that's what I really dug about this, is it shows kind of that internal struggle of his.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it is, I mean, all parents have that versus, do I do the right thing or do I do the thing that I can get my child this thing right now?
Yeah.
Like,
And I think the fact that that he wasn't just a con man.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they gave him, he was doing the con, but he was doing this last one to expose the con. And, he was a father.
And you can always blame him for the con because he had been indoctrinated into it. Like, his father had basically set him up to be this the rest of his life.
Yeah, because even when he's talking to the dad, he's like, how many exorcisms do you think you've done? He's like, probably over 150. And I was like, 150 cash paying exorcisms.
Yes, exactly. Because his dad is doing this fully believing in the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just assume that. But he's still taking the money.
Yeah.
And those fucking religious toolkits that he had to have come from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Cotton wasn't the first one to make this shit or find this shit. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, so this film definitely plays with, who the villains are and who the good guys are a lot, and kind of keeps you guessing the whole time, which is a fun ride. So I dig this movie.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I mean, like what you guys have said, it's one of those movies too where, because it's found footage, you think it's going to be one way. Yeah. And I think the main thing I appreciated about it is, it flips everything. It keeps you guessing, and it's a nice change of pace from what we're used to, because usually with found footage movies, you're like, okay, you can figure it out and what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but with this one, you can figure them out. But this one, it was just like, okay, you get all, like you were talking about, Andrew, you get the exposition where it slowly gets revealed, and it just benefits everything, because it's like, okay, this is where you think it's headed, but then you get the flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one had a lot of layers.
It had a lot of good layers, and to the point of it is, it just kept you on your toes to where you're like, okay, where's it going to end up and where's it going to go? Mm-hmm. And that's what I appreciated about this movie is, again, it could have been that easy cookie cutter found footage movie, but it did it a lot better than most. And I agree with Paul that this one just got lost in the shuffle because you had a whole bunch of them that were coming out. And I think at this point, 2010, a lot of people were starting to get sick of the found footage movies.
It was definitely, especially, because the Blair Witch was 99, and that really revitalized the found footage. And, 10 years, 11 years out, you're like, you've got a whole decade of found footage, and you're kind of getting tired of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing I appreciate about finding movies like these, is that you find the movies that were lost in the shuffle because, you get a plethora of whatever is hot at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we've had vampire movies, we've had zombie movies, we've had werewolf movies, and you see all these come out, and then you finally find the one that's like, okay, this one got lost in the shuffle, and I'm glad I found this one, and I'm glad I got to see it, because otherwise I would have just thrown it away along with all the other movies that came out at that time. And this one, I feel, is like one of those to where it's the one that got lost in the shuffle that if you haven't seen, you need to go see.
Yes.
There's only one criticism I have about this movie.
What is that?
And it's because it is a found footage movie, but it's like, how do you see the footage?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
like,
one
where does it come
falls
from?
Yeah. That one falls to this one. It's like, and I think this one, it's like, okay, look, we know, and it's one of those things that it's a plot hole technically, but it's like, willing suspension of disbelief on this movie. Because you're like, it's a great ride. The cult
submitted it for a documentary to the Oscars.
They're like, we need money.
I mean, hey.
This is the greatest documentary ever. Look at all the shit we just proved.
They can credit Iris and Daniel.
There you go. There you go. Posthumous awards for their filmmaking.
But that was The Last Exorcism from 2010. It is a great movie. You should check it out. But that, I believe, is all for this episode. We'll be coming back next week with Jennifer's Body from 2009, starring What's-Her-Face and What's-Her-Face.
Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox.
There you go.
And young Neil.
And Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt for a bit. And J.K. Simmons randomly.
And the other guy that plays a douchey band guy.
Brody.
There you go.
Oh,
I don't know anybody's name, apparently.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this one. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, but you guys can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. You can find more horror entertainment news at scarynerd.com. And we will see you next week. Anything else, guys?
See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.